Today I'm going to be sharing some of the things that I do when I'm not painting or drawing. Today's a little bit different than usual, just in that I spent a lot of money this week buying some additional plants for my studio, and I'll share everything that we got soon. But I've been adding to my jungle in the studio this week. Almost everything arrived today. A couple of things yesterday. We have a lot of boxes to open. Also, if you have been watching my live streams, you know that I have been waiting on 2 new baby red-eye tree frogs. Those arrived today, so we're going to open that box and I will introduce you to Captain Cookie and Murloco. World of Warcraft fans know where I was going with that. Everyone else thinks I'm more random than I really am. So as you can see, my day is not terribly exciting. A lot of my day is spent caring for my animals. A lot of the day. And walking around the studio, sticking my finger in dirt to find out if anybody is dry enough that they need to be watered. My life is not very exciting, unless you're a plant person. Then it's like Disneyland every day. Someone want to tell me why Dad's beanie is in your bed? That does not go there. Who did this? You look guilty. You don't look like you care. You look guilty. I have a feeling it was you. Bad cow, did you steal Dad's beanie? You did, didn't you? It's a good thing you're cute. So my new red-eye tree frogs are finally here. We've been waiting for these guys for, gosh, it's been about a month now. We had to wait for the weather and also for the little albino to grow up. She was really little when, well, I actually don't know if it's female on that one, but that was a tiny little baby frog when I contacted the breeder. The breeder of these, she's actually here on YouTube. She has a channel. She gives tons of really good tips. I hope she does more on frog care. JJ the Frog Girl. So definitely check out her channel. I'll put a link to that in the video description if you're interested in frogs. Great tips. So I'm using gloves, if you're wondering here. I do not handle my frogs at all with my bare skin. I wear scented lotions, and even without that, like just your skin can dry out their skin. It's not good for them. So I always wear these are nitrile gloves. So here is the little albino girl. Well, I don't know if it's a girl. I'm calling it a girl because I don't know, that looks like a girl face. That is not how you determine if they're male or female, by the way. That's just me being silly. But there we go. This is going to be Captain Cookie. Look how cute. Little orange toes. So Captain Cookie is an albino. And obviously made it through shipping just fine. And then we have Murloco. And Murloco is going to be harder to get on camera because and now this one is a male. This one is a bit older, so she was able to let me know. I was able to choose which gender I wanted here. I wanted a male because they bark. So that Murloco is a purple red-eye tree frog, so different color morph there. So here are my quarantine tanks. So we're going to go ahead and put them into their little quarantine tank. First, we're adding Murloco. This is the purple red-eye tree frog. There you go, little one. Right up onto the leaf. And now we've got Captain Cookie, who is really active and really wanted out. Here we go. As much as possible, even though I'm wearing the gloves, I still try to handle them as little as possible. I'm super paranoid about touching something and getting it on their skin. They're not, they're sensitive. They're not as sensitive as I'm I'm just paranoid. That's just me. So there we go. I've misted her a little bit. Now the green bowl in there, that is where I'm going to teach them to eat or catch their crickets from, because once they go into the bigger tank, it would be really hard for them to find crickets. It would be hard, not that they wouldn't eventually get them, but I want to make sure that they're eating their crickets while they've still got their calcium and vitamin dust on them. And if I let the crickets just roam free in the tank, by the time they find them, they're not going to have that on there. And then this will also make it easier for me to monitor how much they're eating. So this being a smaller tank, it's going to be easier for them to learn where the food is. They don't really have to look very hard for it. We've got a nice little water dish there. They don't drink water. They absorb that through their skin. But what they'll do with the water dish, that's pretty much their bathroom, or, well, one of their bathrooms. But they will use it for that. So that has to be cleaned daily. Actually, in the quarantine tank, I clean the paper towels. I clean everything out daily on all these guys. So there we go. There's Murloco over there. If the camera would focus. He looks like he's just straight black. He's not. He's actually more of a kind of a wine color. And then, of course, he's got his little orange feet. Now these guys, they're all red-eyed tree frogs. It's just that these two are a different color morph, so they can all go together. It's not like mixing two different types of frogs, which you would definitely not want to do. These guys are just color variations of the same frog. Such pretty pastel colors here. And normally they will not be awake in the day at all. The only time you really see a red-eyed tree frog awake in the day normally is if something's wrong, they're not feeling well, or in this case, they just got let out of their travel box, so they're just getting comfy before they go to sleep for the day. But generally, if the lights are on, they go, my husband and I call them almond mode. They just fold up their little feet under and eyes closed and go right to sleep. In the day, anytime the lights are on, you turn the lights off and they wake up. So I have night cameras that I keep on mine so I can keep an eye on them. Plus, I like to watch them. It doesn't take much to entertain me. Seriously, how cute. It is the cutest little face. Okay, we'll go ahead and leave these guys to sleep. We'll come back and check on them a little later. So breakfast time for me pretty much usually consists of a rice bowl and a chocolate muffin. Next, I need to make the Greyhound's food. So we've got this vegetable. These are like, it's vitamins and vegetables and all kinds of fun stuff. So I've got to rehydrate this with water. And they get 2 cups of this. That will last for 2 days for each of them. Once it's rehydrated, oh, get that little cup thing is in the way. Don't need you. So now we're just going to measure out about 2 cups. Dump that in there. That dust makes such a mess on my counter every single time. I have to dust a lot because of this stuff. And then we put the red beets in there with Wade and his allergies. This helps out a lot. So just put a bit of that in there. And then I need to rehydrate that with hot water. And we let that set for about 15 minutes. Once that's done, I can go ahead and put the raw meat into this mixture, which I've also added fish oil to. I forgot that step, but it's in there. Now I have to mix all that up while hopefully not making a mess of the counter. Now I've got 2 days worth of food for them. Stay. Stay. Clear. After the good boys eat, we go back outside again. My grass, I'm really excited. It's just starting to turn green again. So soon my backyard, hopefully the trees will leaf out soon too. We've got these guys, these shrubs are completely in bloom, and now we've got some bees in there. Let's take a look and see if we can find one. There's one. Look at the bee. We actually bought these shrubs because when we went to the nursery, we bought them a year ago. When we went to the nursery, there were bees all over them. So that was pretty much all the selling point we needed. I got my petunias planted. And my bee and ladybug hung. Some of my mason jars with the fairy lights, those are on the fence now. Got my sweet potato vine and a Mexican feathergrass there. That tree has no leaves yet. I check daily to see if we've got any buds starting. I get so excited for spring. My other fence, I've got the other ladybugs and more of those fairy lights. They look so pretty at night. All these solar lights make me so happy. Then this weekend, I added water to the water fountain. It sounds amazing, but all you'd hear on the video is my neighbor's dogs barking, so we're not going to bother with that today. And then I redid this pot. It's an old oven pot. It's so cute, and it's got holes at the bottom so I can put plants in it. And I stuck my desert rose or my adenium in here, and since he has different water requirements, I stuck a pot inside another pot so he could be in here with all of these guys. It's kind of an experiment. It should work okay as long as I remove him when I water everything else. Everything should be good with this little mixed arrangement. And that guy should be blooming pretty soon. Then the area that I potted last week, my sign finally came in, my Don't Step on the Mome Rafts. Pretty excited about them. And I also planted the sweet potato vines. So those will end up, they grow really fast. They'll end up completely overflowing those pots. So I just have little ones in there now knowing that they will overgrow that area really quickly. So the first thing that we're going to open is a plant that I've wanted for a bit, but it wasn't, I kept talking myself out of it because it's more expensive. I kind of wanted it mostly just because it's a little bit more on the rare side, and I like to collect plants, so of course we want the rare stuff. The bad thing was when I found one at a decent price. The problem I was having with some of the places I was finding them, the cost of shipping was as much as the plant, and that was even within the US on some of these sites. So I found one where the cost of shipping, it was all, I think it was $45 total for the plant and shipping. So that was pretty good. So I went ahead and placed that order and went, hopefully it comes out good. It's still in the box. I don't know. I may be telling the story about a terrible looking plant. We'll find out. But when I showed my husband that I finally found one, he looked at it and he goes, nice. But doesn't that look pretty much like all your other ones? And the thing that drove me crazy, I even told him, I'm like, you know what really makes me mad about that? You making that comment right now? That is the exact same thing I have been telling myself, trying to talk myself out of spending the money on this plant. It really kind of does look like most of us, so many of my other plants, but you know, I have self-control issues. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the new stuff that just came in today. I normally don't get this many packages. Today was kind of an oddball day where everything showed up at once. So I have to cut myself off. I'm not allowed to order anything else for like a month at least. I'm gonna fail that for sure. The plant addiction is real. So this is, some of you may have remembered from the old octopus painting, old, a couple of years old, not that old, but this is the bowl that I had used for that reference. So I've decided to get some little guys in there that would like higher humidity. I think those are some peperomias, and we're going to be potting that today. We'll make that all nice and pretty. And this came a couple of days ago. This one, you can't really see from that lighting. Here we go. This is a Monstera Peru. This is a rooted cutting. It's got really nice roots. So hopefully he'll take off because, oh my gosh, look at how beautiful that guy is. Like those leaves, they look like a reptile or a dragon. Let's go with the dragon. That's more fun. But so pretty. Oh, that's dirt. My counters are about to get even dirtier than they already were. Okay, let's see. All wrapped in nice paper. Oh, this is the one. This is the philodendron micans. It is packed well. Oh my gosh, he's in beautiful condition. Look at how, this is a good size pot. That looks to be about a 6-inch pot. The underside of the leaves, they have this pretty, especially the newer ones, kind of a reddish tint to them. Let's go ahead and free him. So I won't be repotting this for a bit. We'll let him stay in this pot and get acclimated to my conditions. I'll just stick this pot inside a decorative pot so I don't make a mess when I water. He's really wet though. He's not going to need to be watered for a while. If you are new to plants, the main reason that people end up killing their plants, usually from overwatering. Dirt all over my counter. There we go. Look at the mess I've made, but oh, is he not beautiful? Really soft, kind of leathery feeling leaves there. A little bit of a shine to them. Really, oh my gosh, he's so pretty. I'm so in love with this plant. He looks good too. Gotta give, it was an Etsy seller. I'll put a link to them in the video description, but man, does that plant, that is in nice condition. The next plant, this one should be a Philodendron Brazil. Unless I ordered more stuff that I don't remember. Oh, here we go. Wow, they have a whole catalog they sent with it. Oh, he's a beautiful one. Look at him. So this one, I believe I got from a seller on eBay. That maybe, was it eBay? Was it Etsy? I don't remember. But this one is a Philodendron Brazil. Look at the markings on those leaves, that light green and the dark green. They're stunning. So pretty. It's a little mushed from being in the box, but are you in focus? Please be in focus. There we go. Now we're in focus. But look at those leaves, those colors. This is so pretty. I have a cutting of one of these, but that's going to take forever to grow. So I wanted one that was a bit larger, and if I can get this to vine out really well eventually, I would likely put this or a cutting of this in my red-eyed tree frog vivarium. They're nice big leaves, so this is something that the red-eyed tree frogs would like to sit on, but for now, he'll end up in my studio. The last plant unboxing for today, this is going to be a syngonium. This came from Frog Daddy. This is hopefully the person I'll end up buying my Leucomella dart frogs from. I've got the tank all set up. I'm just waiting for some frogs to become available. So this is a little syngonium ray. Yeah, it's kind of in rough condition. It's in sphagnum moss. Let's see. And this is just a cutting, so it's not going to be that full big plant yet. No, he looks okay now that I've got him out of the bag. So it's a syngonium, and I've got a few others that are, I've got a pink one and I've got a light green one. This one is really, really dark leaves, really pretty shaped leaves there. So we'll get him potted up today. I'll just stick him off to the side here. He's going to need a tiny little pot. That's another way, if you are new to plants, that a lot of people will kill their plants, is they will put, like this guy doesn't have that many roots yet because he is just a cutting. They'll put a plant like this into a pot like this thinking, oh, he wants a big, huge, happy house. No, you're gonna rot those roots. You don't want to overpot most plants because the water will, the pot will hold water too much. The roots aren't sucking that much in, and so you end up rotting them. The other thing that I got were a whole bunch of isopods. This container has isopods that are going to go in some of my dart frog vivariums. These are like your cleanup crew or your janitors for cleaning up waste from the frogs or like decaying leaf matter, anything like that. They are just going to keep clean. Okay, so now that I have the mess on my counter, we've got a whole bunch of boxes, my dry goods I ordered from Josh's Frogs. This gives you an idea of some of the stuff you need when you do keep amphibians or reptiles. So let's go ahead and open those. They had a sale, so I just kind of stocked up on a bunch of stuff. So this is the ABG mix. This is everything I need. It's got charcoal, it's got moss, it's just good soil. I got 2 of those, and I also got some of the false bottom. So this is leca. We use this, it's a lightweight base that we can use to help with drainage in vivariums. So that is what that is for. Put this back in there. I had to get some more rapashi. This is what, get in focus there. This is the stuff that I use to breed fruit flies for my dart frogs. Got some Reptisan. This is what I use to sanitize or clean out my frog tanks when, the quarantine tanks, I should say, the bioactives don't need this, and to clean out my cricket cage. So this is my egg crate, and this stuff is going to last me a really long time, but this is what I have to use for my crickets. I can't find my other egg crate, and so I kind of had to do a setup for my crickets. Yeah, this is what I came up with because the crickets came yesterday and I needed something for them, and I didn't have my egg crate, so I had to improvise. So unless a plant, I feel like the pot that it's in, that there's something wrong with it, I'm not going to repot that until I want to give him at least a month or so, at least a few weeks, but ideally a month or so in the current pot before I bother repotting him. And he may even stay in that for the next year. It depends on how those roots are looking. Unless this is overpotted where I feel like he's getting some root rot or something like that, we're just going to leave him in there. There's no reason to just repot everything as soon as you get it. It's easier on the plant to keep it from going into shock if you let it just acclimate to your environment first before you mess with its roots. The roots of the plant are such a big deal, so I just don't want to mess with those. So for now, he's just going to stick in that pot. Not the best size, but it'll work. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the Philodendron Brazil. This guy is just going to sit inside this one to keep him from falling over. Now, I do want to point out too, these are terracotta pots. They're not always the best for some of your more tropical plants that might want the soil to stay more moist because the terracotta dries out really fast. So suitable for some plants, not for a lot of them. So in this case, I'll set the nursery pot inside that, but I would not repot this specific plant into terracotta. Okay, so I've got a little nursery pot I'm going to use for the syngonium. And he can keep some of this moss. I don't need to get all of that out. I want to be really careful not to break his roots. See, I'm already thinking I may be overpotting it in this because there really aren't that many roots. So I've got to be careful when I water this to let it dry out just a bit in between waterings. Otherwise, I will definitely rot what's there. So when I water this guy, I will not likely completely saturate the pot like I might normally. I will probably just water or dump a little bit of water right around where the root ball, well, I don't know if you'd call this a root ball, the little few strands of roots are. And hopefully he will take off. So there we go. Here's the little syngonium. Oh, now that he's out of or he's dried off a little bit from being in the pot, you can kind of, I don't know if you can see, it's like a black velvet. Come on, focus. It is so pretty. Yeah, I'm not sure you can really see the velvetiness of that leaf. That is stunning. So this is what the leaves, when that matures, right now you see all these little green ones, but when it matures, you're gonna see more like that. He does have a new leaf coming here, so it looks like it should be a pretty viable cutting. And I got that one from Frog Daddy. Okay, so with this pot, it's pretty small. I'm not gonna be able to fit much in there. If you can see, I've got this big empty spot in here. I'm just gonna put some cuttings from one of my other vivariums. Now, I'm not sure how well this will do in this one because that vivarium really likes super, super high humidity for this specific cutting, but I've got so much of it that needs to be trimmed anyway, we may as well try. So this vivarium is so, as you can see, overgrown. I kind of use this to get cuttings that I put in my vivarium for the dart frogs. These plants I've had in here for years, and so I know there's no pesticides, there's no fertilizer, that is what it is, and it is really full. So even if they don't do well in this little pot, it's not gonna matter. I mean, I've got so much of it, I'd cut this stuff and toss it just because there's too much. I believe that what I'm going to be cut is called Tiny Tears Pilea. It's a type of Pilea. So we'll just pick a bit out of that. Oh my gosh, it's all tangled up in here. Wow, I can't believe how much it's taken off. I'm gonna have to put some of this in or take advantage of this and put some in the dart frog tank. Oh my gosh, everything in here is, look at that guy. This guy's just going crazy too. We'll stick some of him in the dart frog tank as well. We'll just let that grow up front. I'll have to trim it a bit more often, but it's so pretty. For this guy, I'm just gonna add a bit of distilled water and then I'll just monitor to see how much water is being retained in that soil. Okay, Philodendron Brazil, let's go move you to the studio. Eventually the Philodendron Micin will join you, but for now, this is the spot you get. That should be good, not too much sun. A large portion of my day is letting Gibson in and out of the house. Gibson, you just came back in. You really don't need back out. So let's go check on the new red-eye tree frogs and make sure they're sleeping. So good, these two little ones went to sleep. So the cool thing with these guys, they're really a lot larger than the ones that I had got that had parasites. These guys are larger. They've definitely got a good amount of weight on them. I'm so glad that I found their breeder. They seem to be in much, much better condition than the ones that I've been struggling to get to nurse back to health, I guess. So this is just their quarantine tank. They're only going to be in this long enough to make sure they learn that little bowl right there is where crickets go, because that's the same type of bowl they'll use have in the big tank. So we want to teach them in a smaller tank where to find their food easily. And I want to be able to monitor, make sure their stool looks okay, everything's going well, because once they're in the big tank, that's going to be very hard to tell. And then of course, this is the vivarium where they'll end up going. They're going to like sitting on these big alocasia leaves. Some bromeliads back there. They can sit on those. We've got my Addisonii. This is a cutting like the same one that we were taking earlier for the other dart frog tank. I've got another Monstera siltepecana back there. I'm trying to get that guy to vine up because once those leaves get a bit bigger, that'll be a good place for the frogs to sit too. They like to sleep on the back of leaves. Got a few different vining plants in the back there. I believe that's a peperomia here. We've got some more alocasia below. Right now I've just got leaf litter down here, but I will have a water dish and their bowl for crickets will sit down here eventually. I've got a couple of fans back here these are waterproof computer fans. They are back there to help keep the air movement moving in there. So one of the things that can happen with these frogs is if it stays too humid or the air is not moving, they can end up with bacterial infections on their skin. We don't want that. So I've got the two fans in the back to keep the air moving, but you also have to maintain humidity. So it's a whole balancing act to keep everything perfect for them. So for me, the rest of today will be spent editing this video. I'll get that uploaded. I will then take a nap. And then when I get up tonight, I will paint. Most nights are spent painting. The first half of my day varies, always taking care of the animals, of course, but sometimes I'm editing videos. Probably most of the time I'm editing videos. Sometimes I'm working on just the business side of things normally, or caring for my yard and my plants. Have you subscribed yet? If not, I have a handy button right there. It's round, has an orange arrow going towards it. If you click on that, that'll help you to keep up to date with all of my art videos every single week. Usually they're more art related than this.